This is Larry of Larry's Legendary Oils. We're located on 367 in Chambers, Wednesday through Sunday, 11 to 7. We specialize in all your smell good needs from A to Z for your car, for your house, or for your body. Thank you very much, and we definitely appreciate your business, and God bless.
Yeah. 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 Stop the injustice. Stop the injustice. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. Stop the tearing up your hometown. Everybody just a look around. If you wanna honor your town, stop that violence.
Stay tuned to the All You Living on Purpose show.
Yeah, here we go down at the Freeman Bowser Jr. Show. Yeah, trying to just keep it real, just keeping it real, just keeping it real. Down at the Freeman Bowser Jr. Show, talk about issues in the community's affair. That's right. That's right, that's what's gonna affect the whole, that's right. Down at the Freeman Bowser Jr. Show, at the Freeman Bowser Jr. Show. Just tune on in, just tune on in, just tune on in. You know I caught you listening. At the Freeman Bowser Jr. Show, at the Freeman Bowser Jr. Show. Just tune on in, just tune on in, just tune on in.
You know, we generally have people that want to say that there are no fathers in the home and that people do these things because they don't have guidance and direction. You know, how did, do you remember how we met? Get up close to the mic. Huh?
Yeah, we met by
Go ahead, you on there?
we met by calling in.
Right, you
and
started
people
calling
was
in.
talking about what they couldn't do, and I was telling you about I had just served 19 years in prison. That was 14 years ago.
Right, that's right.
Been out, 14 years now, and Bosley say, hey, why don't you just come on and do a show with us? And we did a nice, successful show.
Right.
The lines was lit up, and, it was a pretty good show.
Pretty good
so
show.
Bosley called me back.
Okay, and now, and I know, depending on how much you want to talk about it, the facts were you had an incident that you wind up, you shot somebody.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you want to, can you, if you don't mind, I'm not trying
I
to.
don't mind. I don't mind. I'll tell you all the
time.
time, Freeman, that you're welcome to tell my story.
Yeah,
because Freeman was the first one that actually opened the door for me to come on the air. That was my first interview to come on the air and talk about it. And guns is not getting us nowhere. Because the result of it landed me in prison for 19 years.
You mind saying what you did?
I followed the guy, had an argument with him, followed him home, and then shot him.
Yeah.
And the result of that, I was 21 years old. I had just turned 21. And when I shot him, I ended up didn't see the street until I was 40. So guns, the result of guns, that was 19 years of my life.
Well, one of the things that we also talked about is that, while you were locked up, you were mad and you kind of blaming other people for your situation till how many years went by before you actually started thinking about, I need to try to do something with myself?
Man, it was at least 8 years went by. I'm down in Supermax. And I go down here to see the chairman of the parole board and the parole board.
Right.
And only thing I remember is a light came on in my head. I was already down there for stabbing the guy.
Okay. In the jail.
In Supermax.
Yes,
I was
okay.
in Supermax.
Okay.
That Supermax is a where they separate you from other.
So you acting crazy even while you locked up?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm already in there for assault. Here I
Okay.
am in there assault.
Right. Okay.
And a light bulb came on in my head while I'm sitting in front of the parole board. I said, what made me think these folks finna give me parole and I'm already in there for assault? Just stabbed the guy. So I got up on my way out the door and said, hey, I said, it don't make me no sense you wasting your time, you know, up in here, and I'm down here for assault, already in prison for assault. The man told me when I grabbed the door, got ready to go out, he called my name. And he looked at me, and I'll never forget it. Cranston Mitchell.
Cranston Mitchell. We know Cranston Mitchell.
Cranston
yes.
Mitchell looked
Very
at,
good man.
He looked at me and told me, said, long as he's the head of the parole board, I'd never see the streets.
He told you that?
Yeah, he told me that, and he stood on it.
Yeah.
He stood on it. It was 19 years on a 30-year sentence.
Yeah.
I pulled everything but 11 years. And if it wasn't for Betty Thompson.
Betty Thompson, that's a state representative.
Yeah.
Betty Thompson, right?
Betty Thompson at the time was over the Department of Correction.
Uh-huh.
I shot the policies to Betty Thompson after I learned what it was about.
Right.
And I told her I'm already above policies, you know. And Betty Thompson, I told her what I was requesting, and she went and took care of it. And she already knew how long it was going to be before I got out. At the time, I had 17, getting ready to go up for parole again. When I called Betty Thompson said, "How did it go?" I said, "Oh, it went well." I said, "Yeah, it sounds like they're going to let me out early." She said, "No." She didn't want to say the no.
Right, right.
But when I got to, she knew, you know, and it was 2 years. You know, they was hoping that I messed up in 2 years.
Right.
He gonna cut somebody.
He gonna
fight
get in the fight,
somebody.
yeah.
Right. You know, and they gonna snatch my time,
Right.
and then it's gonna keep running. So I chilled, but boy, I tell you, the day before I was getting ready, I won't say I got down 30 days. I pacing the floor, and I'm drinking this instant coffee, and this youngster comes up and he, yeah, you stabbed my cousin, you know, you better be up out of here when they get through counting. I said, oh Lord, that sounds like some serious stuff. I'm 30 days from going home.
Right, right.
Man, I sat down, I thought about it, got up in the bed. I said, I'm gonna play a role on it. I said, I'm gonna relax it. And when it came back, oh, you ain't gone? I say, hey, man.
Now, where are you all at? You in jail? You
We
in
in
like
jail.
are you in like a cell? Are you in a room with 4 or 5 other people? Or how are you confined?
What they call this prison?
Are you in a
that they-
pod or something? Or what
No,
you
we
in?
was in cell,
Okay.
and it was a new prison like Lincoln they built.
Okay. All right.
And they had Charleston.
Okay.
This young come and pull the cell door and see what he had to say. And
How many people were in there with you at this point?
at the time, my cellie was gone outside.
Oh, so it's you in there by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I got down out the bed, had my little long john shorts on, and you know, my little tennis shoes on, and I said, man, look, I don't want no trouble. As soon as I said that, I done got in my stood, got him relaxed, got in my pose and swung him. And I'm talking about, I said, I got this big son gun here. He was trying to spring back up. And I said, boy, if this youngster spring back up and get me, I'm going to be tore up like sauerkraut.
Uh-huh.
So I'm talking about, I went to swinging. I just went to swinging. But when he left up out, I said, man, I hope I don't lose my out date. You know, and
Nobody saw it?
Nobody saw it.
Okay. All right.
You know, so I just say, yeah.
You kept your out date.
Right. I
Okay.
kept my out date, came home. You know, and first thing I stopped at was McDonald's. My brother come and got me.
Right.
And McDonald's. You know, by that time when I left the street, it was just single. You order your single hamburger.
Right.
I said, yeah, I want 2 of them. My brother said, wait a minute. Hey, he just want one of them, an extra sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Because things had changed.
A lot.
whole
You were gone
lot.
for a total of 18 years.
Total of 19.
19.
19
You locked
flat
up for
years.
19 years.
Was that worth it?
Okay, well, now, here's the other thing I want to talk about a little bit now. A lot of times people say most folks from broken homes, daddy ain't involved and all this, but you had a decent family.
Oh, I had a decent family. I would never sit up and blame my mother and father for the choices I made.
And how many sisters and brothers you had?
We had 3 sisters. It was 3 sisters and 2 brothers.
All right, and so everybody else growing up doing what mom and daddy tell them to do, right?
Yeah.
But you just was a hard head.
Yeah, went out there in that street and taste the streets.
Uh-huh.
You know, and you know how it is. You think it's going to be there if you leave home. Man, you leave home, you out there saying, where everybody at?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But would your daddy say, son, look, Kenny, look, boy, what is the problem?
Man, my father set me down, and my father tried to talk to me. I'm talking about, we have discussions like me and you have
Right,
discussions,
right.
you know, and my mind was just so ignorant at the time. I want to say ignorant,
Right, well, that's a good phrase to use.
you know, because it's a lot of things I didn't know that I thought I know.
Right.
You know, and when you think you know everything, you don't leave room
That's right.
for an open mind.
So your daddy would say, son, come on now. You know, we got you a house, you got food, you got a place to live, stay, your sisters and brothers, we all love you, but why don't you come? What's the problem? And you'd listen to the conversation.
Right.
And then what? Just go straight on back
Just
out
go
there.
straight on back out there doing what I was doing in the streets. You know, and when you really look at the streets, didn't get me nowhere but to the penitentiary.
That's right.
And the only somebody who was with me was my family.
That's right.
Them was the only somebody, not my so-called friends
In the
that I
street.
thought I had.
Right.
It was my mother, my sisters. Daddy died doing my bit.
Your father died while you
He
in jail?
died.
Oh, man.
Seen him one time. He come up there and visit me, and that was it. Didn't see him no more. My brother died the first year I went.
Yeah.
You know, so I went through a lot of tragedies while in prison. You know, and it you know, like I say, thank God I had put the word in my hand and started reading the word.
So you started reading the Bible?
I started reading the Bible because I say I would never ever want to go back out like I came in.
Well, what was it that made you decide to pick up that Bible? You in there for so all these years going by. Bible been in the library or wherever it was. What made you decide to, at this point, I'm going to read this?
This is Larry of Larry's Legendary Oils. We're located on 367 in Chambers, Wednesday through Sunday, 11 to 7. We specialize in all your smell good needs from A to Z for your car, for your house, or for your body. Thank you very much, and we definitely appreciate your business, and God bless.
Well, hearing them doors slam for one thing.
Yeah, I guess.
All this hollering going on, and this toilet was so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It'll suck a sheet down off in there. That's how powerful it was.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, man, this is not what I wanted.
Right.
You know, but it was too late. I couldn't change my mind.
Right.
So I had to do something, and I turned to the Word.
Where was the Bible? Was it in your cell or you went to the library?
Went to the library and
Yeah.
got me one and started just reading the Bible. You know, and I said, man, thank God I don't look like what I've been through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
You know, so I started reading the Word, and you know, when you start planting the seed within, it's going to grow.
Okay.
So a book, God placed a book in my spirit, and I went on a search, do my research before I even wrote the book, and that was 15 years gone by. And then I wrote the book, and then when I come out, I got it published. It was called Know Thyself Psychologically.
Right. Now, you know, tell me about how you went and got your job where you went and told the man that, look, I just got out of jail, I had a rough time, I did some stuff, but if
Tell
you
the
give me a
truth.
chance to go ahead. What happened now?
I mean, it don't make no sense going out here lying on these applications, you know, because some point in time they're going to find out about you.
Right.
Just through your social security number. So I just told him, I said, man, I ain't going to tell no lie.
Where'd you go? Who was it that you talked to?
I talked with a man called Chris Dockery. He was the interviewer.
Where? Where?
And remember Harry, matter of fact, they was down there where Harry and them had that place at, you know, where they was taking us in, and we went through these programs in American Steel Lab, came down there, and we sat down there, and I mean, man, the man, I just told him, hey,
What'd you
I
say?
just got out of prison. You know, I've been out here, I want a job so bad, here my card is, I do handyman work. And the man took my card and stapled it to the application. I said, I got that job. You know, next thing you know, I was called to work.
You called to work.
You know, so
Were you a good employee? Did you get fired, or what? How long did you keep the job?
I kept it 14 years.
You kept that job for 14 years.
14 years, you know, and a lot of things that went on that job. You know, these folks is all about economically controlling. And it's the same thing with going on in the communities. You know, by us not having money in our communities, but we the biggest consumers, you know. And if you don't have the funds or the money, then that's opportunity for them controlling. It's the same way with a man and a woman. If the man got all the money or the woman got all the money, it's somebody going to be trying to dominate.
Okay. And so now you got the job, and then you didn't stop there. You started doing other things, and now talk about these cameras and stuff. What made you decide to get into this communications?
Well, when they laid off at the plant, you know, and I said, oh, Lord, get ready to go through this, you know, so what do you want me to do? Got on my knees and prayed, and about a month later, I found myself driving to California. Because I want to know if I'm going to get off into this, I want to know what is they making our movies with. So I drove to California, 30-some hour ride, but I enjoyed every bit of it. But when I got there, I found out they was using Canon cameras and Max.
Okay.
The professional software is Adobe Premiere and Final Cut Pro, so I started buying into it.
Well, I know these things look extremely expensive. Now, this is not the first purchase that you made, though, right?
Oh no.
Okay.
Yeah, man, they very expensive.
Yeah, look at this stuff here.
And then the funny thing, he didn't even give me a chance to comb my hair.
Me either.
I mean, I didn't give a chance to comb my hair, man. I'm like, this brother setting up a camera.
Look like
He got my hair combed. You know what I mean? I just look like I just woke up. I just got on anything. You know. Come on, man.
This is movie producing quality equipment.
I know.
Huh? Look at it.
Hey, I'm just gonna break all of it with my looks, man.
if you gonna get off into something, might as well go all the way.
Well, but here, you went out there because you wanted to do it, but then you started small initially.
Yeah, I did.
So and then so obviously you got into it, and then finally you start feeling good about what you're doing.
I went back to school and everything, and I tried to take out a $80,000 loan in Chicago at that some school, you know, to take the whole program up, and they wanted $80,000, and people's popping up to my, where you going to back school for something you already know, you know, and I'm talking about, it was just coming at me, you know, I couldn't sleep, and I went down there and I canceled the loan. And about a month later, I come back, I ran into Roland, I never forget it, Roland down at Black Pearl. He's still on the internet. And I'm talking about he find a lot of deals, and he shared it with me. He said, man, he said, Merrimack has got classes going on in video editing, man, for $129 per class. And I said, what? And he gave me the address and emailed it to me, and I went home and looked it up, man. I was like, wow. I immediately
jumped in.
Down. I'm going to change that word immediately. I'm going to say I immediately
okay.
went back.
Okay.
And I went down there and paid my money.
You put in the program.
Yeah, I went down there and got certified.
Okay. Certified in what?
Video editing.
Okay.
Got certified in video editing. And everybody looking at me to my, how did he go back to college?
Right.
You know, God is a blessing.
That's right, man.
He's a blessing, you know, and I felt so good after that. I carry that piece of paper with me right now today in my bag. You know, let people know I am certified. And you know what kills me?
I got my certificate.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Right, go ahead.
These guys, they want to get off into entertainment. They want to do this and they want to do that. But they don't believe in themselves enough to invest. You know, I actually made it where anybody can afford me.
Yeah. Well, we want you to know, man, you remember Pat Washington?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pat Washington, Darion Phelps, Nikki Roach. I mean, those are the people that were with me when we first met you.
So
you know,
will. Yeah.
None of us have forgotten your story, man. And as a matter of fact, we use it as a point of inspiration for a lot of people, particularly when we're talking to folks, because you know, you have people that'll talk about why folks can't make it and why they couldn't get this going and what happened. But, you know, your story, to me, is just so, it's so touching. I mean, for 18 years, you fool around in jail. Now, first, even before that, you kind of, at 21, you mad, you mean, and you bump into somebody in a club, and you follow a person home, and then you shoot them. And you serve 18 years, and then while you're in jail, now you still fighting.
Right.
You know, but then all of a sudden, something within you, see, says, I got to try to do something else.
Sure will.
And you pull your own self together. And I like to tell that story because a lot of times people, ain't nobody here to help me. Ain't nobody going to do this for me. I can't get this. I can't get that. Ain't no daddy in the home. But you had a strong, solid family support base, which a lot of people do. I got people in my family that's foolish, man, and that will do some of the things. They haven't hurt anybody, but in terms of things that they do out in the street, they do. You know, and we can't say ain't have no daddy in the family. I mean, we got we come up in the church. Our family been involved in church for 80 years, but we got some knuckleheads that still don't want to straighten themselves out.
You got your
St. Louis Hair Academy, straight out of St. Louis, 3701 Kossuth Avenue, was established in 1988 by Bessie Henderson. Students can learn the art of cosmetology, aesthetics, and manicuring for a reasonable price. We offer services, hair cutting, manicuring, shampooing. We make weaves unbeweavable on the corner of Kossuth and Aubert. Our prices are reasonable, and our clinic is open Tuesday through Saturday. Please stop by and see us. Financial aid is available to those who qualify. 314-533-3125, 3701 Kossuth Avenue, straight out of St. Louis.
You did that, huh? You go ahead. Now, what you say?
You got your own mind.
And with that, what
You
happened?
make your own choices. I mean, excuses. The Bible say a man with a slack hand will be poor. I'm not trying to have no slack hand.
Okay.
You know, when Jesus went out and had a large crowd as he preached the word, his crowd got bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what a lot of churches don't want to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it. When he got hungry, he didn't turn away from that crowd and go get him something to eat. What he did, he fed the whole crowd.
That's right.
And that's the way it is here now in St. Louis, especially with all this violence. We have to turn to the person. And if you're going to eat, let them eat too. And then you ain't got to worry about them coming in your house, taking nothing out of your house or stealing your vehicle. But when you're too busy and you're running from the young folks, that's our generation. That's our future. Who gonna help? Who gonna show them the way? And that's what done happened now, where everybody done turn away from the young folk. They scared them, and that's the worst thing to have is a spirit of fear. That's the worst thing to have. Black folks ain't no bad folks. You know, we just need somebody that's, if you're going to be strong enough and you're going to educate, you know what I'm saying, at least try to get the person to know who they are, what they're capable of doing. And what I mean when I say what they're capable of doing, you got to know yourself. We spend a lot of time around here trying to get to know this person, that person, try to know some female, but we don't spend a lot of times and try to get to know ourselves, to plan what we want for our future. You know, when you stop dreaming and stop planning, this is what you're going to have, is all this killing going on. Because ain't nobody trying to show them the right way. I deal with young folk every day when I leave my house. I deal with them every day, whether it's in the community, outside the community. I'm not trying to commit myself to no evangelism team when I'm worldwide. Everywhere I travel, this goes on.
That's right. So now, you got these cameras. You make an initial investment. Why do you continue? This stuff here looks like this. How much does stuff cost?
Oh man, last camera I paid for was $5,000.
Okay, and so now, what makes you go from just these initial investments to want to now you're going this full blown now in terms of what you got here now.
Oh yeah.
So what were you doing?
Well, I'm trying to make it where folks won't set up and say, well, I can't afford that. And 9 times out of 10, when you claim what you can't do or can't afford, 9 times out of 10, you have no energy to go at and do what you want to do or what you seem to do. We put energy so much into the negative stuff, you know.
And so now you have a production company. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Or what are you doing?
What I'm doing is running a production company, trying to let people know that, hey, I build websites, logos, and apps. Do video production, commercials, wedding. I got a wedding online with 29, almost 30,000 hits. So we know they love to watch weddings, you know. And I'm a visual person, you know. I love what I do. I try to make it where they can afford me. But you got some folk that'll try to beat you now, you know. But like I say, now I'm throwing out there now that if a person want a show produced, I'm charging them $350. Come on, you got a little 30-minute show. I'm going to get you on the air and everything. You know, I'm dealing with charter communication.
333-8160. 333-8160. I hope you all got something out of this, you know, because I admire this young man, and I met him over the radio, and kept up with him, and I keep up with him. Sometimes if so much time goes by, he'll keep up with me. But Kenny boy, you know, to have done what you've done, and to be willing to talk about, a lot of folks don't want to talk about what they did, you know, but you have allowed me to talk about it. You've allowed Pat to talk. You've allowed us to share the story, and I think it's something that's worth hearing. 333-8160.
St. Louis Hair Academy, straight out of St. Louis, 3701 Kossuth Avenue, was established in 1988 by Bessie Henderson. Students can learn the art of cosmetology, aesthetics, and manicuring for a reasonable price. We offer services, hair cutting, manicuring, shampooing. We make weaves unbeweavable on the corner of Kossuth and Aubert. Our prices are reasonable, and our clinic is open Tuesday through Saturday. Please stop by and see us. Financial aid is available to those who qualify. 314-533-3125, 3701 Kossuth Avenue, straight out of St. Louis.
338-160. If you got a question for them, you got a comment or something you want to say to them, now is the time. But we just want to let you know, man, to have gone through what you've been through and to accomplish what you've accomplished. You're a hell of a guy, man. You're a stand-up man. And, you always got a word of wisdom for me. You always, you self-taught yourself.
Well, I wouldn't want to take all the credit. I'm gonna give God his
absolutely.
His due,
Yeah.
because if it wasn't for him putting me in my right state of mind to be able to make the choices and going in, he shows you a glimpse, and it's all about if you see the glimpse.
Right.
Because the spirit moves fast. So
Right.
when he shows you that glimpse, you got to be able to catch it. So I'm just following the spirit.
Yeah, man. You blessed, brother. Appreciate you. We appreciate you. Good morning. You on the air? What's your question or comment? You on the air?
Hey, what's going on, Free?
Hey, how we doing, my man?
We good, man. Oh, Kenny boy, the cream that rose to the top.
Ain't that something? Huh?
Yeah, with the big guy in the sky, and he opened up his eyes.
Now, Kenny, this man here that's calling now is a long time. He probably been listening to you for 7 years.
Boy too. I know
7 years, yes.
Okay.
7 years.
So, I mean, he is an epiphany.
Yeah.
God made a believer out of him.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
me, no one can stop you. And I'm proud of you, Kenny.
Thank you.
All right.
I've been paying attention.
Okay.
And you're right, you got to give God something back. So go out there and start cracking some heads and try to put some of that knowledge in there. Where all of those books are.
That's
Where
right.
all that travel is.
Right.
It's called the Holy Bible.
That's
I
right.
just thought I'd call to get my own testament.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you for it.
All right. 333-8160. Good morning. You on the air? What's your question or comment? Hold on. You on the air?
He that has an ear to hear, let him hear. Good morning, Free, and especially a great morning to your guest.
Yeah, that's Kenny. That's Kenny boy.
Kenny Boy.
Yeah. How you doing? How's it going?
I'm triumphantly well, and I'd like to say I'm glad that this gentleman has come on the airwaves,
Yeah.
and you, being the host, has opened up these doors so that people can hear how a tragic can turn into
Yeah.
triumph.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. See, we all got to be able to understand that we all are tempted, all of us. But there's the Holy Spirit. That's why he said he went to the Bible.
St. Louis Hair Academy, straight out of St. Louis, 3701 Kossuth Avenue, was established in 1988 by Bessie Henderson. Students can learn the art of cosmetology and manicuring for a reasonable price. We offer services, hair cutting, manicuring, shampooing. We make weaves unbeweavable on the corner of Kossuth and Aubert. Our prices are reasonable, and our clinic is open Tuesday through Saturday. Please stop by and see us. Financial aid is available to those who qualify. 314-533-3125, 3701 Kossuth Avenue, straight out of St. Louis.